And we're live.
All right, look at us. Look at all of us. We
Hi
are
there.
live. Welcome to another Thursday Carnivore Mastermind. I'm excited to be here as usual. However, I didn't come up with a topic this week. I got off track with my whole schedule and I realized it was like Wednesday night and I hadn't sent out any emails for this meeting this week. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to talk about? So I thought, let's just talk about anything tonight. We're going to do an open mic. So welcome to that tonight. And look, we've got all kinds of us here. So this will be super fun. Just kind of, we'll maybe just start by going around and everybody say a few words about your week, how it's been going, anything that may be on your mind that you want to share. And then I also had this idea today of throwing out a little hot seat challenge to the audience tonight in case anybody is brave and wants to complete this. We need one more person to make 9 evenly spaced boxes on here. So if anybody wants to share an anecdote, ask a question, just come on here for the experience. I will leave a link here and you can come on and we'll let you share your story and join the chat. So thanks everybody for being here tonight. This is fun. We always have good conversations. And so we'll go around the circle, starting with Ellie, kind of how we do, and tell us what's been going on, how you're doing, and how you're living that carnivore life.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. If we not met before, I'm Ellie, and my chair just got stolen. My husband. Life lately has been really tough. Not to bring down the chat, but it's been really tough, and I've found myself having to use a lot of internal strength, and more than ever, I've realized how important my diet is. Because I'm going to be honest, I veered off of it. And it was about 2 weeks, and it wasn't like I didn't go off the deep end per se, but I did not follow what I believe is the best diet for me, which is a pretty strict carnivore diet, if you had to describe it. But things are getting better. And I wanted to jump on today just to talk to some more carnivores to really get myself, my feet firmly planted. And I always love hearing the great, amazing stories. And I'm happy to be here.
Hi, Cami at Last Day of Normal. And I feel like I have kind of been off the carnivore grid for a couple months. I started driving for my Amish guy. I drive for him every day. And so sometimes I'm working 13 hours a day and I get home at 6 or 7 o'clock and then I'm just done. But it's super fun. It's like the best job ever. I love it. But I am sitting a lot in a car and I only eat what I bring. And so eating carnivore has been wonderful. I'm eating really fairly clean, except for my little few carnivore junk foods, which is like my pork rinds and the, the carbonated waters. I really probably should avoid those. I need to do more research about those, but I have been drinking a lot of those. So those two, but everybody else is eating a lot of other stuff. So kind of like Ellie, I have been kind of trying other things. I made pumpkin soup today from a pumpkin, and all the ingredients are homemade, really, really clean. So I'm trying to play with a few other things and see. It doesn't ever make me feel bad, but like Ellie said, it's not the most ideal and what I would probably want to do as I'm striving to get all the healing that I'm looking for. So I don't know. I'm just living life and busy, and that's it. All right, next.
Get down to Rick, and then we'll go through the middle.
What's happening, folks?
Oh,
there we go. I wasn't sure if it would be left or right, but hey, that's good. Oh, again, if you don't know who I am, that I'm the tallest carnivore that you'll ever see. I'm also one of the longest term carnivores, 41 years and counting. Still waiting for that big old heart attack. And what do? Well, I normally work outdoors. I tend to do a lot of physical work, but I do some technical work as well. In fact, today I was fixing appliances. So every day is a little different. But one thing that's always constant is what's on the menu, and that's going to be meat, and that's going to be water, and that's going to be a little bit of dairy, and that's pretty much it. And it's really nice, especially when you work outside or you have travel. It's very easy to cook. You just slap some meat on the engine or fire up your portable grill, and you're good to go. You never have to eat out. You never have to worry about fast food. And the best thing is, a lot of times I can cook while I'm working. I could be out there doing electrical work or plumbing or digging a ditch or whatever else I have to do, working on a piece of equipment. Meanwhile, the food's sizzling, it's cooking, it smells good. And you know, when you're smelling the food cooking, you just have to turn your steaks over a few times, maybe move the meat around a little bit. Maybe if you catch a tasty iguana, you might have to boil that up. But again, it all depends on what you like, and you don't have to worry. And the best part is, you go between meals, you don't have to worry about getting hungry. In fact, I eat breakfast before I leave the house. Sometimes I eat lunch at work. Sometimes I come home for lunch, and I'm not hungry till dinner. And then whenever I want, I can make dinner, relax, and go to sleep. So that's pretty much my story. And hopefully you don't get too crazy and get quacked listening to me.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Peter. Everyone knows me as Papa Carnivore. 609 or 610 days and counting. Recently had a pretty big breakthrough. I hit 101 pounds lost, which is big. Started at 300, now 199. I haven't been under 200 since I was 20. I'm 62, so I feel pretty good. Last week, I think you guys all know I had a brutal flu, a monster of a flu. But I got to tell you, in the 600 and whatever days, I have not had a sniffle until that flu. So, I mean, if you look at all that time, nothing, not a sniffle. I used to have seasonal allergies, and I lived down here in South Florida, so that can be pretty bad. I have had zero allergies of any kind for all that time. So, but the thing I just wanted to mention really quick, because I keep seeing this out there in the comments, is people saying, "Oh, the carnivore, that's so expensive. I could never do that. It costs way too much. I can't afford eating steak." I mean, you know, if you just buy eggs, if you just buy ground beef, there's a lot of cuts of meat that are inexpensive. Hell, you can buy hot dogs, you can buy deli meat. There's so many things that you can buy. I mean, I saw shrimp on sale for $2.99 or $3.99 a pound. I mean, I just wanted to say that if you add up all the stuff that you used to buy when you were not carnivore, eating the standard American diet, all of the, you know, how many meals did you eat a day? 6 meals a day with all the snacks and 3, 4, 5, 6 meals a day with the chips and all the vegetables and all the different things, the fruits, the boxes and bags and sauces and condiments and ice cream. I mean, if you just see what we eat, I mean, I'm sure everyone on this panel eats no more than 2 meals a day. So maybe some of you eat 3, but you know, when you're eating 1 or 2 meals a day, and yeah, I see Rick 3, but you know, when you're only eating a couple meals and you know, you want to eat just eggs and ground beef, you can eat like a king for not a lot of money. So I just wanted to point that out.
John?
Sorry, I didn't know what order we were going in, if we were
Sorry,
zigzagging. John Laspina, I'm carnivore teacher on YouTube, Facebook, and X, and a few other places. I've been carnivore. I'm going on 6 years. This January will finish 6 full years. Not total carnivore, though. That'll be like 2 years I've been carnivore. But for the other 4, I was keto and ketovore. So low carb, very healthy, lost a ton of weight, healed my lower back problems, skin issues, AFib almost completely disappeared. Just you hear these wonderful stories. I can hear them forever. They're wonderful. I have my story too. And eating the proper human diet really does heal you from the inside out. It's just makes sense as well. And it's easy. It's affordable. Um, Anybody listening to this who is still eating the standard world or American diet, consider cleaning it up, and you'll observe your body just go into hyperdrive. You're going to feel amazing. You're going to have an emotional boost, mental clarity. The list goes on and on. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm so glad there's so many of us on here tonight. And I heard about this when I watched some people's videos years ago. So we never know who we're going to reach or who's ready to hear it. You have to be ready to hear it and ready to make a change. And if anybody listening is, we highly recommend this way of eating because it's optimal. You feel fantastic. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm DC from DC Learning to Live. Yeah, I'm having a great month actually. This month marks 10 years out of hospital and in remission. After being in stage 4 twice in 2 years, culminating after 3 years of chemotherapy. 10 years ago, 10 years ago this month, I came out of hospital after a stem cell transplant. It left me bedridden for quite some time. And it's been a long journey, but like I said, like 10 years now, I am completely off medications. I don't take any supplements, or I do take a nutraceutical, but it feels amazing. I've been a high fat keto and now carnivore for that 10-year period. The type of cancer that I have is a recurring type. It's called follicular lymphoma, and they keep telling you that like it's inevitable that it will come back, and it did. Like the second time, it did come back while I was still going through treatments. But now I'm 10 years remission. I'm wondering, like, does it have to be a recurring type of cancer? Does it have? I mean, is a relapse inevitable? At the moment, I don't think so. I think I'm doing pretty well. So I'm sort of celebrating that this month.
Hi, my name is Christy. My channel is Meeting Wellness, and I am a teacher from Southern California, and I've been carnivore for just over a year. And the only thought on my mind in the last few weeks and the few weeks coming up is I am so glad that I'm carnivore, because it has been a crazy last few weeks, and we have a crazy few weeks coming up at school. And I really don't know how teachers do it and keep up with everything. So I'm glad I have the energy that I do. We just had progress reports come due. Parent conferences are next week. We have mandatory district assessments that we have to give sometime within the next 2 weeks. The fire alarm just randomly went off 3 times in one day. So we just evacuated the building look at John's face, right? He knows. Just randomly evacuated the building while the alarm kept going off falsely. The principal had to have a behavior meeting with my grade level just 2 days ago because they've been so atrocious. The list just goes on and on and on. And I think it's been shown that we make more decisions than a brain surgeon. So it is quite taxing, but carnivore has definitely given me the energy to be able to keep up with the 10-year-olds that I have in my classroom. And I do have 31 of them that I'm in charge of. So, yeah.
Howdy, folks. I'm Bruce Keene. Yes, that last name is not pronounced the way it's spelled. I'm a little nervous. I don't know how well this is going to work because we don't quite have very good internet here yet. I've got fiber optic coming in on Saturday, so hopefully that'll improve things a little bit. But, I've been carnivore since January 1st of 2023. It was a New Year's resolution. I figured I'd give it a 30-day trial, and that 30-day kind of stretched out to 60 days, which stretched out to 3 months, and that that 30 days is just still going. But my wife had turned me onto the lifestyle. She sent me a video of Michaela Peterson, and said, "Hey, you got to check this gal out. She's got this what she calls a lioness diet." And so checked it out. I was like, nah, it can't be true. Carnivore, just meat. It's got to be a joke, right? You hear about these. You hear about all these hoaxes that people perpetrate on the world, and people actually believe them, and then turns out it's a hoax. I was like, yeah, it's got to be a hoax. But the more I got into it, watching Dr. Barry and all these other people online, Christy and Ellie, and all you guys were kind of part of my learning about it. I figured I'd give it a shot. So here I am.
Awesome. Look at this panel. Awesome. So let's see. We have a question popped up here. So I'll just throw this up here and we can kind of, spitball some answers. I know a few of us have been commenting here in the chat. But I think this is a good question, and there is some information out here on it. Sorry, it's kind of covering some of your faces here, but so Lotto Retirement Strategist asks or says, my A1C went from 5.5 to 6.2 in 5 months. Fasting glucose is 85 to 95, spikes up to 113 are well controlled. How is it possible to be 3 points from being a diabetic? Any concerns? I don't remember if you alluded to how long you've been on the diet. I can't remember from seeing you in previous chats, and or like what. So you was it 5.5 when you started carnivore, and now it's 6.2? Like, have you been on it 5 months? Or maybe you can throw those details in as well. But what are y'all's thoughts on that?
I have had a very similar question that I asked a few doctors, because my A1C is not in the sixes, but it's starting to creep up very slowly. And I've been low carb for going on 6 years. And just like we are getting healthy, the answer that I received is the hemoglobin that's on our red blood cells. Our red blood cells live approximately 3 months, some a little shorter, some a little longer. When they get healthier, because we're eating properly, they will live a little longer. So it's going to show a higher number when you get your hemoglobin A1C tested. That could be what happens. What could also be happening if you're not consuming carbs and sugar is there's other things that can raise your blood sugar. It could be a lot of stress. It could be prescription or over-the-counter medicine. It could be lack of sleep, cortisol. A lot of things can raise endogenously, internally, our blood sugar. But then again, it could also be counterbalancing with your blood cells. Your red blood cells could be living a little longer. Like Nia said, we don't know how long you've been doing this. You didn't tell us. Maybe you can type that in the chat. And I'm not, and none of us are doctors, so don't take anything we say as medical advice.
Yeah, John, that's what I was going to say too, is that, now being that you're only 5 months carnivore, I'm not sure that would be long enough to have what you're saying. Long-term carnivores, maybe a year plus, 2 years, 3 years. I think that might be, I think you're along the right idea, John, of the stress. And also, I think she needs to look at every single thing she's putting in her mouth. Okay, what you drink, what you eat, because there are some things that can, that can raise up your A1C, get your blood glucose up there that you would think, oh, that's, but I think we all know there are certain things that can do it, believe it or not. For some people, like heavy cream, cheese, there's some things that can actually make it move. I don't know why that is, but the other thing is there's something called a cephalic response, where if you're drinking diet sodas, okay, your body goes, oh, there's sugar coming. There's sugar coming. Well, no sugar comes, and what happens is your pancreas releases insulin, right? Even when there's no sugar. So it's called a cephalic response. So I would, I forgot her name, you had it up. I can't see the chat. But if you're drinking Lotto, if you're drinking any type of diet drinks, anything with artificial sweeteners, try and go to just sparkling water or water, and maybe cut back a little on the dairy, or if not totally, and then see what happens. That's my idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, a lot of that, yeah, all of that is right, but it's also it can be supplements as well. Like if you have flavored electrolytes, for example, sweetened electrolytes, that sort of stuff can also raise your blood glucose. But even looking at computer screens, blue light can also raise your blood glucose levels, because it raises your cortisol, so you get that insulin response. And 5 months, like I think, just have a look at your diet. But I wouldn't worry about it too much either. The HbA1c blood test, I mean, these are all done on your body's average as well. So it does usually get higher for carnivores because your red blood cells do live longer on the carnivore diet because you are healthier. Your red blood cells are healthier. So there is that response, but it does usually take longer depending on where you're coming from. But I just wouldn't worry too much about it unless it is like all the time as well. Like one blood test, you can't judge anything from. So like you might have had something to eat prior to the blood test, and that would give you a higher level as well. So there's a lot of ways you can prepare for blood tests, and these are things that, I mean, when you're going for a blood test, I usually will take time off from any kind of strenuous sort of work or exercise for days beforehand. Otherwise, because your numbers, because it takes time for your blood to actually get you to recover before your blood test. So I mean, at any given moment when you get your blood test done, your numbers are going to be all over the place. So you can't really rely on one blood test.
I'd also be curious about what exactly the diet looks like. What are you eating? I notice that my ketone level goes down if I'm eating like lean meats, chicken, and pork, and it's my ketone levels. I haven't really noticed on the glucose, but what exactly does your diet? So you've gotten rid of the heavy cream in your coffee, I guess, but what about, are you eating eggs? Are you eating lean meats? From what I understand, eggs do have some glucose in them, if I understand correctly.
I'm just going to throw this out here because I have no proof of this because I wore a CGM while I was still drinking, decaf. But I think caffeinated coffee was affecting my blood sugar because I would drink coffee in the morning, completely carnivore everything else. And I think even at that point, I was really not having much dairy, if any at all. But it would make me hangry later in the day. Like it's usually for people, it's like an appetite suppressant, but I felt like it would make me crash. Like the caffeine crash would make me feel like I was hypoglycemic. And so, that's just my anecdote. I have no idea if there's any evidence for that. But I'm just like, and I never thought I'd be this way because I loved coffee so much. And it was so hard to give up. But I notice a big difference in my energy and like everything just is more stable without it. And so, I always just challenge people, if you're still drinking it and you're having some stuff like that, like, you never know, cutting it out for 30 days and seeing how you do, how you feel, might be worth trying here. So eating ribeye, hamburger, eggs, butter, lamb, occasionally salmon and sardines. I consume a lot of butter. So yeah, and I think Nutrition with Judy has a couple really good videos. She always goes into depth and, very scientific about her
She's very good about
that
that.
she puts out. And so I'd recommend, I think the title of the video is something like why A1C and fasting glucose goes up on carnivore. So if you just Google that, she has a couple really good videos that go into detail too. But I think that's all the comments I have on that. Anybody else?
Yeah, no, you're right. Like coffee disrupts a lot of things in the body. Actually, like it directly affects your thyroid through acrylamide, and it can throw off your hormone production, including insulin, okay, and blood glucose and that sort of stuff. So that's another thing. A lot of carnivores still keep their coffee, so that could be something as well. And depending on who you are, if you consume a large amount of butter, it's still dairy, even though butter is very good. That could also be a problem as well. So it just depends. Try eliminate a few things that may not be, or you may still be keeping in your diet.
Cool. So I'm just looking up what this is. Yellow prussiate of soda.
Appreciate.
What the heck is that?
Yeah.
Does it say chemical known as sodium ferrocyanide?
So gosh.
Food additive used primarily as an anti-caking agent in products like table salt.
Yeah.
Despite the inclusion of cyanide in its name, it's considered non-toxic in the small amounts used in food applications, as the cyanide in this compound is tightly bound and not released under normal conditions.
I use the Redmond's real salt generally, or the Malden's sea salt flakes. Those are my two go-tos, but you got to really be careful with everything. I mean, because you do not want to be having Morton's salt, or any of these, because they will use these caking agents that are chemicals, and there even can be sugar in salt.
Morton's puts dextrose.
Yeah,
it even says it in the ingredient list. So, and it's just to keep it from caking, and all you have to do is tap your shaker. Who cares if it's caking a little bit?
And the salt is also the Morton salt, and that kind of salt is also bleached. So even though they say that it's iodized and all of that, that's all been bleached. It's just really horrible for you. I like their Redmond salt too, and I like their smoked salt as well. It's really good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Here in Australia,
and all you have to do to keep it from caking is
just make your own salt. That's what
and just avoid anything that has any kind of anti-caking agent or anything that I mean, it should have no ingredients except salt. That's it.
Yeah.
Rick, tell us how you get your salt. Listen to how Rick gets the salt.
Most of the salt that I have, I got from groundwater in Key Largo when I was living there. I'd pump it out of the ground and evaporate it in the sun. And I made a lot of salt that way, but I'm running out, so I'm going to have to find another source for it. But it was very easy. All you needed is a stainless steel tray and a pump. Basically, just put it up on the roof, put the salt in there, and let it evaporate for a week. And then you got flakes of salt. Then I have a little grinder. It's like a little glass thing with the knob on top, and you put your salt in there. You just go like that and grind it up when you need it. Very simple.
Yeah. Very cool.
Robin asks, as a Brit, would be interested on thoughts on coffee or tea versus coffee on raising the levels you were just talking about. Anybody have experience with this?
Well, tea is the same. There's still, apart from the caffeine content of tea, which is quite high, including coffee, just as high as coffee. But apart from the caffeine, anything that's treated, processed with heat, especially from plants, develops or excretes what they call acrylamide. Okay, and acrylamide is something that affects your hormone production, directly affects your thyroid, and has been known or has been associated with causing cancer. So it's not something that you want to really overconsume.
Also, tea, usually darker teas like black tea, higher in oxalate, if you know what oxalates are, more than coffee. So that's something to consider as well.
Tea always upsets my stomach. Like I could never tolerate any tea. Green tea, even like ginger tea, which everybody says, oh, it's so good for your stomach aches, right? And I'd always have stomach aches, but it would just make me bloated and feel like I've tried all kinds of crazy teas, and I can't drink any of them. So I don't
Mia,
really
did you
know.
ever try
I can't drink it on an empty stomach.
A great
I don't
replacement.
mind green tea. When I'm in Japan, it's very popular to drink green tea. And I used to drink a Chinese tea that was very good, but oolong tea. But I can't drink any tea on an empty stomach, and I haven't been able to drink much tea since my transplant, because my stomach was, after the transplant, I had a giant ulcer and I had a hole in my stomach, had leaky gut and all that sort of stuff. So after that, I just couldn't drink it much anyway. So I just think it's I mean, some people handle it better than others as well. So see how you feel on it, I think. But I think even if you do drink it even once or twice a day, and you feel okay, I think you should limit it as much as possible. It's not something you want to drink a lot of anyway.
If you want a really great replacement because you want that warm mug of something because you're stopping coffee or stopping tea, bone broth soothes your stomach. Bone broth gives you that warm feeling, make it as hot as you want. Put butter in it if you want. It's a great replacement.
Yeah, bone broth is good. Sometimes I'll just boil just hot water with salt. It's good too. It's just nice. Like on a cold morning, just a hot salt water is nice.
Cold morning.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. Okay, so Lotto was consuming 6,000 milligrams of sodium until a week before their blood test. Does that have anything to do that? Sodium is one stop. You mean you stop salt altogether a week before you? Because I imagine it would take longer than a week for all of that to pan out. I don't know if that has anything to do with your A1C or your glucose levels, but my sodium is 1 point below the low of the range. So
I don't know if carnivores need more sodium than other people. Like when you talk about the standard Western diet, like in all that processed food, there's actually quite a lot of sodium in it. All right, all these processed foods have sodium in it, stuff. So it's not like people don't have a high salt diet already. I think that we do just naturally as a species need salt, of course, for our body and sodium for all the electrolytes and things like that. But the difference is that you are adding it to your food, it's not already in that processed food that you're used to eating. You feel like it's more because you're just adding to it. Salting the taste is a perfectly healthy thing to do.
yeah, I think I was probably consuming about maybe 3,000 milligrams to 4,000 milligrams, and that was actually too much for me. It was giving me diarrhea and all this kind of stuff. So I actually cut back to around, I don't know, 1.5 grams, maybe 1 gram per day. And I feel like I personally do pretty well on that. So, like, this is all stuff to experiment with, the coffee stuff, the salt, and as you go, every 3 months, every 6 months, depending on how curious you are, get your labs drawn again and see what direction it's going, and that's really the only way, in my opinion, these numbers mean anything. It's within your own personal context and then weighted against your symptomology. So are you feeling better and better and better and better? And then what way are your labs trending versus, potentially the other way around?
Yeah,
if you're
I think
still
that's the
having
key
symptoms from
too,
something,
Nia, is
and then it's like, hey, what numbers could be involved?
Yeah. But the key there too, Nia, is that like you weigh it against your symptomology. I mean, why are you being tested? Why are you testing your labs all the time? Like, are you having symptoms for something? If not, then what are you worried about? There's nothing to worry about.
I kind of feel like it's a trend in the carnivore community to be like, I've been in carnivore for a year. Here's my blood results. And I think a lot of us legitimately have issues, have had issues in the past. And then I wonder if people who don't have channels or Instagram accounts or whatever are also just kind of curious for themselves, but they actually don't have any really bad symptoms. They're feeling much better. So I wonder if that's possibly something that's happening. Just like, oh, I'm going to do a blood test as well. I'm going to find out what my numbers are. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but sometimes we, like, the job of a good doctor would be able to look at everything together as opposed to one test in isolation. So maybe that's just some food for thought. If you're feeling good and you have like one wacky number, it might not be the end of the world. Depends on, you should go with how you're feeling physically and mentally.
Yeah.
So INFJ Tyrone has a few questions here about, so they were asking about pork and chicken, if that's, I don't know if it's okay on carnivore. Maybe could you let us know, like, if you've, or maybe I missed it back here, but how long have you been doing that? Okay, so you asked about decaf, if that's okay. What about lead in bone broth? Chicken and pork, and then goat cheese. So maybe let us know, like, how long you've been on the diet, or if you're just considering it and these are your questions. But does anybody have comments on, like, do you eat pork and chicken? How do you feel about how they affect you?
Everybody's different. I know it's healthiest to be on the ruminant meat, and healthier, the best, of course, is grass-fed and grass-finished, but we all can't afford that or have access to that. So ruminant meat, which would be beef or lamb or deer, buffalo, bison, I try to make that my major food, and then I will have some fish and some pork and some poultry a little bit during the week, and my body tolerates it. But everybody's body is different. Some people may have symptoms. They may have allergic reactions to certain things. So it's okay to have all that. I often say eat beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fish, and eggs, cooking only in animal fats. That's my motto on my channel. But then some people can't do the egg whites. Some people can't do the chicken because they get inflammation. So everybody's different, but when you stick as close to carnivore as possible, the closer to ruminant meats, the healthiest, is my opinion.
Yeah, I'll second.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Christy.
Okay, I was just gonna say I do feel best on beef. I love a good ribeye or some picanha, but then probably once every couple of weeks, because I'm making it for my son. He's a carnivore too, and he eats beef, but he does eat more pork and chicken than I do. I tolerate it fine, and I do enjoy it as an option. And then it's like, but after one meal of, let's say, chicken thighs with the skin on, cooked Rick's way, which is the heart attack way, it's delicious. But then I'm ready to go back to my ribeyes or whatever after that. So, and I try to get pasture raised chicken and pork. Whereas I'm a little more flexible with the beef and not always going with the grass finish because I don't really like the taste of it and it is a lot more expensive. But I do spring for the pasture raised chicken and pork just because of the omega-6, omega-3 ratios and what they feed, those animals is not always the best. So I definitely go with the pasture raised version of those two when I eat them.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, I guess when I started out, I did eat probably, I didn't care so much. I would eat chicken, pork, whatever. But I think the further into carnivore that I got, I started getting, like, I need my red meat. Like, it makes me feel so great. I mean, John, so, for me, it's a T-bone, it's a New York strip, it's a ribeye. I mean, that's, I go to big three, but, ground beef, eggs, I love my bacon and eggs or sausage and eggs, or ground beef and eggs. But for the most part, I'm sticking more and more to the ruminant. Remember, the ruminant animals have 4-chambered stomachs. So even if they're not eating as clean, versus you're going to be better off, and I prefer grain finished beef to grass fed. The grass fed is so expensive, and it to me it doesn't have the same taste. So I just go with the pretty much grocery store beef, and that's my main go-to. Although I did have a delicious boneless pork chop. It was delicious the other night, and a couple nights ago I had some chicken wings.
Yeah. But I'm probably the poorest carnivore here, so I have to eat what I can get. I try to have at least 1 pound of beef a day, whether it's steak or ground beef or whatever. And then the rest of it's going to be chicken, pork, duck, iguana, whatever I can grab by the tail and cook up. And what I've noticed is that if I have to eat the commercially raised chicken and pork, I can't eat the white meat because it's hard to swallow. It doesn't agree with me. So I generally don't eat chicken breast. I eat dark meat. And I only cook those meats 2 ways. They're either fried in tallow or lard, or they're boiled. I cannot have grilled chicken, and I don't like grilled pork. They do not agree with me. Give me a stomach ache. I don't feel good when I eat it. So if I'm going to eat chicken or pork, I got to make sure that it's either deep fried in tallow or lard, or it's boiled. I can't really high temperature cook it because it does something weird to the meat. And with iguana, you don't want to high temperature cook iguana because it'll get really tough and it's impossible to eat. It becomes so bad. I mean, not even a duck would eat it. And duck is another one. You're going to cook Muscovy duck. You got to make sure you don't overcook it because it'll get really tough and you won't even be able to chew through it. It'll be like eating a leather shoe. And I know there's 3 Floridians in this chat. And you probably know what a Muscovy duck is, or maybe 4. You never know. So if you know what a Muscovy duck is, they're kind of run around the canals, so they don't have a lot of fat. So if you're going to grab one of those, and I have a funny feeling nobody else will, because I'm the only one crazy enough to eat wild stuff. But those are very good meat, and believe it or not, I have a better experience with Muscovy duck than I do with beef. Now, when I was a kid, we used to have local beef, and that was the best beef I've ever had in my life, because those cows ate grass year-round, but they also ate tropical fruit. So they were eating avocados, mangoes, bananas, anything that was going bad. We had all those groves down here. Now it's a development disaster. Miami is just a horrible place. It's got traffic, it's got development, it's just garbage, and the weather is awful. When I was a kid, we actually had seasons, and there were a lot of groves, and they would feed all the wasted fruit to the cattle, and they produce really nice milk and really nice meat. And I hope maybe one day I'll get to live somewhere where I can get cattle that not only eat fresh grass, but they also eat fruits and berries and other things, because the meat was definitely flavorful. It wasn't that fatty, but boy, did it taste good. So again, if you can eat the ruminant meat, that's great. But if you have to settle for the commercially raised pork or chicken, it's still better than eating the plant material, and it's definitely better than eating the processed crap. And another trick that I found that works, if you don't mind a little bit of plant material, make some sauerkraut and let it ferment for at least a couple weeks. And you can eat it with your pork, and you can eat it with your chicken. And believe me, it just tastes a lot better, and you get a much better effect. Now, I'm really sensitive. If I eat any meat that's been cooked in seed oils, I will get a headache. And I don't care how good it tastes, but within 3 hours to a day, I'm going to have a headache right behind my eyes. It's a bad one. So I have to be careful. But again, from my own experience, if I cook the way that I do, even if I eat imperfect meats, I don't have a problem, have plenty of energy, and don't have any infections.
Okay, we got a hot seat. We got a hot seat person. Everybody ready? Can we fit another person on here? That's what I'm wondering. What's going to happen? Okay.
Try
3, 2,
it.
1.
There it works.
Yay!
Hey.
Here we
There we go.
go.
Everybody.
Hey, welcome. Let's get 10 more.
Yeah.
There we go.
We can add them all in.
This is like when we taught in the classroom, Christy, right? When we were online and all the little faces popped up, 30 of them.
Yeah, it looks more like a Zoom call now than
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, give us a rundown, Booby Goats.
Yeah, tell us who you
all
are.
seen your handle and your comments.
We like that name.
How's it going?
Yeah. Oh, so hey, everybody. My name's Erin, and I do have a YouTube channel, Booby Goats. It's named after that because my daughter, we used to have goats, and my daughter, she was like 3 at the time, and she was singing to my youngest, and she was all like, Booby Goats, Booby Goats. And I was like, I need a YouTube channel name. That's going to be it. It's going to be awesome. So that's why I use that. Well, I'm a mom. I've got 10 kids. And back in February of 2023, I was watching like homesteading stuff on YouTube. And for some reason, I got Dr. Barry. And I was like, so what's this? And I started clicking on it. I'm like, carnivore diet? You mean you can like just eat meat and lose weight? Well, that's awesome. I want to do it. So I did. I did the first 30 days and felt really good. So I did 30 more days. And I kept going as long as I had electrolytes. I had to like get a bunch of electrolytes and make sure I had them to go. And yeah, I've been going ever since. I started at 250 pounds. I just had a C-section when I 4 months prior to when I started. It's the first C-section ever. They hurt. I wouldn't recommend them. Go natural. I'm an expert. Anyway, I just sorry guys. I was like in a lot of pain. I was sitting on the couch nursing the baby, and you know, I really didn't understand like the amount of brain fog I had until 6 months into carnivore. And all of a sudden I'm like walking like through the hallway and stuff and not forgetting what I needed in the other room. And I don't know what I'm going with it, but I did have gestational diabetes with 6 of my children. And so I was like pre-diabetic. I'm so glad I found the carnivore diet. I'm glad for Dr. Barrett's awesome. I'm really stoked to be here. And it's super awesome just to eat meat and live.
Yeah, that's cool. 10 kids, that's amazing. Are you trying to start your own village?
I already have my own village. Thank you very much.
If you don't mind me asking, how much weight have you lost in all this time?
Oh, yeah. 82 pounds and 18 months. For the whole month of September, I did 50 burpees a day for the past 30 days. And I'm going to like pop my video probably next week, Wednesday. And it was a lot of fun. And I was like, I'm going to lose weight doing this. And I didn't, because I've been in a stall for a little bit, but I did lose 1 pound. So I'm super excited about that pound. But I also got rid of a lot of jiggliness, and I've got muscles now. They're awesome. Can't really tell them. I do.
Body composition changes. Don't worry about weight.
And burpees are so much fun that now, like, I was not going to do them today because I'm like on day 31. And I was like, I really need to do some burpees. My muscles were like, let's do them. Let's go. And I'm like, okay. So it was really exciting for me to be able to do that. Like, it took me like almost 18 months of healing. Yeah, I'd exercise some, but like, especially with like cleaning up after kids and working on our farm. But like, honestly, I needed more. And I didn't do that because I felt kind of really tired still. And I was figuring it wasn't electrolytes, because I dropped those for 2 months. And I was like, I'm going to try not doing electrolytes and listen to everybody and just like try to ease off on the salt and see how I do. And I noticed I was like really draining and very low. So I had to go back to electrolytes. And I was like, dang, they got me, those companies. $30 a month, but that's okay. And I was just like, I took the electrolytes. I was feeling better. I always had this problem, like heavier people, like when we want to exercise, we want to do it, but we don't want to get like on the floor and back off the floor all the time. And I was just like super excited that I can do that now. And it's awesome. So carnivore diet heals and it's awesome. I don't know. It was fun to jump on though.
Yeah, thank you.
Good,
I
good
can
to put a face to
really
the
also
name.
shout out.
Yes,
INFJ
you get a face to the name. You can also subscribe if you wish. I've got lots of stuff going on. I've got a really funny reel. It's super cute. If you guys want to check it out later. We found a toad.
Yeah, and I will
kids. My
tag
wife
everybody
just
in the
asked me.
description. So somebody just asked for that in the chat too. So you know, after we get done, I'll tag everybody's channel here, so everybody we can mix and mingle here. But I just wanted to also verbally shout out this super chat from Tyrone. So thank you. I think how many INFJs are here? Ellie, John. Does anybody else know their Myers-Briggs? I'm an INTJ, right, Ellie?
What does it mean?
We are.
I'm an INTP.
Introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging is INFJ. And they, you know, there's a whole bunch of them that combine the letters, and you take the Myers-Briggs test, lots and lots of questions, and it kind of puts you in a personality category.
Okay, I've heard of that before.
Yeah, we took it as teachers in school, and I remembered my numbers. It helps you understand yourself. It helps you communicate with others when you understand other people. If somebody's super extroverted and you're introverted, you understand why they act a certain way. And
I'm definitely an E.
Okay. I'm an I.
Yeah, I found that the personality test really helped me because I suffered with so much brain fog. I really didn't, and I didn't know that, but I did not understand who I was, how I functioned in the world. I had a lot of trouble with textile, like, you know, things in my environment, and it was really helpful for me to kind of be like put into a box. I know not a lot of people like being put into a box, but it was very helpful for me to be like, okay, these are my functions. This is how the functions stack, and now I know my weaknesses, and I can work on them and make them better. So I think it's helpful. Big 5 test is also really helpful if you want another personality test as well.
What if you don't have a personality? What should Aid do?
Aid has the best personality. They read me like I made this really emotional video, and Aid wrote the sweetest comment. Sorry, I have something in my throat. How good for a live stream. Aid wrote the sweetest comment, like analyzing me. I have to stop talking now. Okay, but thank you, Aid, for that.
Just going to Nia, there's a question up here about Willie's from Lotto Retirement. Like, will their CAC score increase? You know, animals in the wild, like carnivores, they don't have you know, heart attack problems. They don't have any heart sort of problems. Any animals that have any heart problems are grain-fed animals. You know, like sheep, and yeah. So like, your CAC won't increase just because you're carnivore. You know, cholesterol, you know, red meat has never ever shown any reason to cause or to increase the risk of heart disease or anything else. So just don't stop stressing about it.
Yep. Cool. Well, we've got about 10 minutes till our time is basically up for tonight. So maybe we just want to go around again and let everybody give some final thoughts. I know it's kind of hard for everybody to get a word in when we've got this many people, but this is so much fun. So let's just give everybody a couple minutes to wrap up. Final thoughts, any other points? Start with, I guess, with Ellie again.
Let's see if I can talk. Wow, I can. This is great. Okay, sorry about that earlier. You know, I have found keto first and then carnivore to be so beneficial for my life. It's improved me physically. I didn't mention I used to be 240 pounds, and I've lost 70 of those pounds easily for the first time in my life doing that. And being off of the carnivore diet for 2 weeks because I had a miscarriage, and my husband was in the hospital with his ulcerative colitis. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned, like, red gives me a headache and makes my knees feel weak. And I learned that tea made my cramps worse, and just like all of these things. And I think it's really interesting because I would have never been able to know those things if I hadn't tried an elimination diet, which is what carnivore is. And I believe that we should all find the perfect diet for ourselves. And I'm definitely not going to be eating any more bread. And I'm feeling so much better just getting those delicious variety of meat and a little bit of dairy. So just to wrap up, I have a channel. It's called Nourishment Redacted, where I try to learn more about myself from my heart, body, mind, and soul. And I share my heart with you. And I want to be your friend. And I want to help as a friend to promote a healthier lifestyle for you and your family, especially little ones. So it was an honor to be back with you guys. I'm trying to get back into YouTube, and so thanks for having me.
I love Ellie. So I haven't been getting the healing that I thought I would get, that I've seen other people get, and I'm not a failure. I think I'm normal. I think I'm like a lot of people. Like, we make this one big change and we make great progress, but then we kind of just get stuck. And so, yeah, my weight has been the same. And so I'm kind of just playing with what I eat and what I do. And I'm kind of researching some of the other, like if your health is a stool, there's other things. And so I'm looking into light, the circadian rhythm, all of that stuff, water and magnetism. I'm going to get grounding, like leather soled shoes for Christmas. I'm going to do some things to kind of see if there isn't some more things I can pull into my healing journey. 50 years of eating wrong does not get cured in 18 months. I'm trying to be patient, but you get that perfectionist quality. We just want it all right now and want it all to be perfect. So I'm trying to be patient. But I have missed the carnivore space, and you will kind of drift away if you're not watching content and talking to people who are carnivores and really keeping up on that positive influence that comes from this community and this culture. So stick to it. But I'm here, but I'm going to keep doing other research too, and get as much help as I can.
Yeah. Well, I started the diet not to try to get better, but to try to get a heart attack. And the side effects were that my grades went up, I grew taller, I became more satisfied, and I no longer wanted a heart attack. And just think, for decades, I kept eating this way, living this way, doing things my way. And only in the last few years did I realize that this is actually a healthy diet for many people. I don't know if everybody can benefit from it, but a lot of people do. I know people that have tried it and they've had mixed results. I know someone that tried it, but he tried too late and he died anyway. But the thing is, I'm just happy that I'm able to meet people like you and all the nice people that comment on my videos, and just people that I tend to run into in this carnivore space. Even some of the carnivore celebrities that we all know so well that I've been interviewed by, I consider them to be more sincere than, let's say, the vegan group or some of the other charlatans that are out there in the health space. So I think in my case, just having a YouTube channel, which I had long before I ever mentioned that I was a carnivore and never understood that this was anything important, but being able to contact people and have them look to me, even though I'm a quack, they can look to me as an example who's done this for a very long time. You're not going to die instantly. You're not going to have an overnight heart attack just from eating meat. You may have a heart attack from all the other things that you did in your life, but it won't be from eating meat. If it was, I would have died a long time ago. So my perspective is have fun. Try to find something that works for you. Try the carnivore diet. If it doesn't work, try something else. I'm even trying to see what other possible diets there are. I mean, it's not just the carnivore diet. Maybe you see people in other parts of the world that live a long time. They all seem to have something in common, which is they don't eat processed foods. They tend to catch or cook or grow their own food. And that's a good start. There's also fermented foods that seems to help people live a long time. So there's a lot of things out there that we can look into. But I think the most important thing is that we try to get ourselves back with some kind of natural cycle and make sure that we eat enough meat, because we do need the protein and we need the other things that are found in meat. And even more important is for us to get to know each other and contact people either on a local level or here on the internet. Because when you have other people that you can refer to, look to, speak with, or consolidate with, your chance of success is much better. Instead of having to make all the mistakes yourself, you can rely on somebody else's experience. And that's really the main thing. Being willing to look to others and being willing to try things. When they don't work, try something else. Just don't be stubborn and don't be the one that ends up losing in the end.
I just wanted to use this time real quick to give a shout out to Ellie. Ellie, you hang in there, stay strong. We all fall off the wagon here and there. Just get right back on. No big deal. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. I threw out the bagels my grandma left. They're gone. We're done.
Ew, bagels.
Yeah, they were gross. Don't eat them.
John.
All these people in here, I can't tell which way we're going every time. I'll try to keep mine brief. Similar to what Rick said, when we're eating meat, or fish or pork or poultry, and we're sticking with animal products. This is our species-specific diet. It's what our body recognizes, 1-to-1 ratio. It recognizes and absorbs the protein, the amino acids that make up the protein, the fatty acids in a correct ratio, omega-6, omega-3, all of our fat-soluble vitamins, our water-soluble vitamins, and our minerals. It's all there. And it's not all there in plants. And it's kind of absent and full of really bad stuff in processed and fast food. And that's the selling point of carnivore. You are being nourished so optimally, and it shows in your body and in your mind and in your emotions. It's a miracle. And this is why there are so many channels out there and so many people pushing this. You don't see Slim Fast and Jenny Craig people making YouTube channels. You don't see them getting on there raving about their diet plans and keeping a YouTube channel going and doing Thursday night lives about it, do you? You don't. We're doing it out of the love and passion of our heart because we're so motivated, because this has just changed our lives for the better. And I hope anybody who is listening, who is, wants to lose weight, doesn't feel well, wants to clean up their life, it can't hurt to try it. And I promise you, when you try this, you're going to see what we're talking about. And maybe you'll start a YouTube channel too, because it's so amazing.
Yeah, well said, John. Yeah, like 100%. It's the most nutrient dense food that you can get. It's very simple, easy lifestyle, very easy to cook. You don't have to. You save so much time. You get so much more of your life back too. But at least give it a try. Like Rick says too, there are other diets out there. Some of the common thing about these so-called, okay, the blue zone stuff was all a complete BS lie, where they said that they were vegan and all that sort of garbage. That was complete BS lie. Like I lived in Japan for many years, and they love meat. But a common thing that all these long life places like Greece and other places as well is that they enjoy life, they appreciate life, and they not only sort of they appreciate life, but they enjoy what's available to them naturally as well. Like they spend time outside in the sun. They spend time like in being in touch with nature as well. Like things like I treat them as life hacks now, but things like grounding, getting sunlight, and trying to be as natural as possible, trying to live as naturally as you can in this very unnatural sort of society is probably the best thing you can do. And that includes simplifying your food, get rid of all those processed foods. If it's got a huge amount of ingredients, it's not something you want to eat. Okay? And remember that the longer the shelf life of the food, then the shorter your life will be. That's basically it. Try and get out there and go barefoot on the ground, touch the ground, or wear shoes that like leather sole shoes that will help you stay in touch with the ground as well.
I just would like to say, everyone has said just wonderful things, and I agree with all of you. The carnivore diet, it reminded me, Cammie, what you were talking about. For me, it was like there were things wrong with me that I didn't even know were wrong with me, like my anxiety that I didn't know that I had. And when that kind of cleared up, then it kind of gave me the mental clarity to start to look into the other things, kind of like what you said you're going to do, Cammie. So I've started getting more sun. I've gone out and done some grounding. I've had the clarity to look and see, like, okay, I think it's thyroid and vitamin D. Let's work on thyroid and vitamin D and see where we get. So I've started supporting that with, some iodine and things like that as well. And so it's just, enabled me to just work on my health, and kind of things just keep getting better and better. And the other thing is, people are talking in the chat about the mental health, and I've just seen that in my own life with my son. and his severe ADHD symptoms. I'm not going to say that he's 100% like doesn't have ADHD anymore, but oh my gosh, he is so much better. So if anyone has ADHD or has a child with ADHD, I would highly recommend changing their diet to something more like a carnivore diet, because it has just helped my son tremendously. And I think that it does help, other mental conditions as well. But that's my own personal story with it.
Well, I got back onto my YouTube because I was feeling so good. And I think we're all just on here because we're feeling really good. And all I want is everybody to feel really good. And the easiest way for me to do that was to eat meat. So just if you haven't tried it, I say try it. Toodles.
Really good.
I
We
gotta
lost
actually
Bruce
go.
somewhere in
so
here.
I'm gonna,
So,
yeah. I'm gonna leave.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. I really appreciate everybody's time tonight coming on. Thanks to everybody in the chat. If you're watching the replay in Futureland, thank you for watching as well. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks for another episode. Maybe we'll have a topic. Maybe we'll do this again. Apparently this was popular. We
This
have
was
all,
very-
all
was
the people
wonderful,
for
yeah.
open mic night. So thanks again, everybody, and take care.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
See you, everyone. Have a great day.